tactical plan. So this is a medium range time horizon where we can do departmental products rather than individual specific products. When you get the sales forecast from the sales or the market research department, based on that we will decide what is the quantity to be produced and what is the cost involved. Facility loading means loading of facility of work center, deciding jobs to be assigned which work center or machine. Hello everyone, I am Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. I welcome you all to this session. The next we have the phases in production planning and control function. In this, the first stage involves pre-planning stage and the active planning stage. Now, in the pre-planning, activity involves product planning and development. So, what is the product you are planning for and what is the development you are doing? Then demand casting. That is, you have to forecast the demand for the product, sources planning, facilities planning, plant location and plant layout. So, what is the sources from which, what are the resources needed and what is the facilities you have planned for the production, plant location and the plant layout. Next, we have the active planning. So, active planning, it involves planning for quantity. What is the quantity of materials to be produced? Determination of product routing, scheduling, meal planning process and planning capacity planning. So, in this we will be deciding about the actual production, what is to be done. Then next we have the action planning. So, execution or implementation phase includes dispatching and progressing. So, execution or implementation phase. So, the actual implementation of the plans. Then we have the control phase. It includes working material control, tool control, inventory control, quality control, labor output control and the cost control. Now, in this control stage, we will be controlling the various aspects of production, which includes the material control, tool control and also the inventory control, quality control, labor control and the output control. Then, production planning occurs at several levels in the organization and it covers the different time horizons. So, what are the various ways in which we can have the production planning? So, here it can be classified as strategic planning, tactical planning and operational planning. So, we can classify the production planning into three types, that is the strategic planning, tactical planning and the operational planning. So, according to the hierarchical levels in which it is done in the organization. So, based on the hierarchy of the management, that is the top level, middle level and the lower levels of management. So, based on this, we have the planning. So, another classification is based on the time span of planning is the long range, intermediate range and the short range. So, the plans can be classified into two ways, that is, the one is the based on the hierarchical levels of management. Next one is the time zone involved. So, next we have the strategic planning. Now, what do we mean by strategic planning? It is the process of thinking through the organization, current mission and environment and then setting forth a guide for future decisions and results. So, in the strategic planning, so you have to think about the organizational, what is the current mission of the organization, what is the business environment involved and based on that, what is the kind of a result you expect. So, all this is involved in strategic planning. For example, we have the technology forecasting and choice of appropriate technology for the long range time horizon. So, what is the kind of technology you will be using in the production house for the next 10 to 15 years? That will be in the strategic planning. Then, strategic plans are usually long range plans done at the top management level. For example, the Vice President operations together with the top executives develop the long range capacity and the facility plans. So based on the hierarchical level and also the based and in coordination with the vice president of the operations, these long range plans, that is the strategic plans, will be decided. Then long range plans focus on production lines, divisions, factories, markets and other range of business units. They span for several years and reflect the operation strategy of the business. So whenever we are planning for a long range, so they will be focusing on the product line. What is the kind of product line we have? What are the divisions of products we have? What are the factories? And also it will span for many years and it will reflect the operation strategy of the business. So it focuses on utilization of production facilities in the long run to achieve the business objectives. So based on the business objectives, so they will be deciding about the strategic plan. They involve commitment in terms of capital investment, manufacturing process technology, product life and the like. So it involves huge decisions like what is the capital investment needed, the manufacturing process technology, product life, etc. The factors to be taken into consideration in long range planning are investment capacity of the plant. So what is the actual investment capacity of the plant? Then what is the product life cycle, technology level, market requirement and the like. They set into motion activities required to develop facilities and equipment, production processes and major subcontractors. They become constraints on how many products can be produced in the intermediate and the short range plans. So these long range plans, so they will be the broad framework on which the short range and the intermediate plans will be built. Now next, let us see what are the objectives laid down by long range planning. Now the objectives of long range planning are production levels, that is number of units produced. So what is the number of units to be produced? Second one is the operating capacities. Third one is inventory policies. Fourth one is levels of manufacturing cost. Now in this, next we have the tactical planning. So tactical planning is done over an intermediate term or medium term range time horizon by the middle level management. That is the operation managers at the departmental products rather than individual specific products. So operational managers, they make use of the tactical plan. So this is a medium range time horizon where we can do departmental products rather than individual specific products. So these aggregate plans have a time span of 6 to 18 months. They specify the employment plans, machinery and utility plans, subcontractors and material supply, facility modification and expansion plans. Now, in this tactical plans, they will be planning for a period of 6 to 18 months, that is 6 months to 1.5 years, and they specify the employment plans, machinery and utility plans, subcontractors, material supply and facility modification or expansion plans. Then lastly, we have the operational plan. So it is done over short range time span developed over the junior level management. So operational planning is the actual implementation of the plan. It is concerned with the utilization of the existing facilities rather than creation of new facilities. It involves proper utilization of key resources such as raw materials, machine capacity, energy, etc. So what is the actual implementation of the plan? It will be done in the operational planning. Short-term planning takes into account current customer orders, priorities, material availability, absenteeism rate, cash flows, etc. It is designed to respond quickly to the change in production level and market conditions. Now, this short-term planning, so it is very responsive to the actual business environment or according to the production environment. So it takes into account the customer orders. So which orders have to be just manufactured first, what is the priority, what is the material availability, absenteeism rate. So the day-to-day, whatever the production scenario. So based on that, we have the short-term planning. So it establishes short-range schedules which specify the quantity of specific products to be produced in each week of planning horizon, which ranges from a week to a few months. So this is the short range plans. They will be done for a few weeks to 6 months. So that will be the span for short term planning. So it is a master production schedule together with material requirement planning and capacity requirement planning. So the production scheduling and shop floor planning involves day-to-day issues and decisions related to operations planning. Then next we have the main functions of the production planning. What are the various functions involved? The first one is estimating. So what do we estimate here? It involves deciding the quantity of products to be produced and the cost involved on the basis of the sales forecast. So when you get the sales forecast from the sales or the market research department, based on that we will decide what is the quantity to be produced and what is the cost involved. Estimating manpower, machine capacity, materials requirement to meet the planned production targets are the key activities before budgeting for resources. So it is the basis for materials budget, capital equipment budget and the manpower budget. So what is the materials you need? What is the capital you need? What is the manpower you need? All this will be in the estimating function. The next function is the routing function. It is the process of determining the sequence of operations to be performed in the production process. So it decides what work must be done where and how. So it is provided by product or process engineering function and production operation and lays down the precise path or route through which the product will flow during the conversion process. So the production involves conversion of raw material into finished goods. Now next let us see what the route sheets contain. The route sheets contain the following information. The operations required. The first thing the route sheets will contain is the operations required. Second one is the machine or material to be equipment to be used for each operation. So what are the various materials to be used for each operation? The estimated setup time and operation time per piece. That is, you have to decide what is the standard time per piece. Then tools, jigs and fixtures required for the operation. Then detailed drawings of parts, sub-assemblies and final assemblies. What are the detailed drawings and parts of sub-assemblies and final assemblies? Then specification, dimension, tolerances, surface finishes and quality standards to be achieved. So we have to have a neat sketch of what is the production process. So what is the specification of each of the product? What is the dimension of each of them? What is the tolerance, the surface finish and the quality standards to be achieved? So all of this has to be neatly done in the route sheet. The next is the specification of raw materials to be used. Now what is the quantity or the quality of raw materials to be used? That has to be exactly specified in the route sheet. Cutting speed, feed, depth of cut, etc. to be used on machine tools for operations to be carried on. So what is the speed at which you will be cutting the sheet and what is the depth of the cut to be used? So everything has to be neatly clarified. Then inspection procedure and metrology tools required for inspection. So all the tools which are necessary for inspection has to be provided here. And then packing and handling instructions during movement of parts and sub-assemblies through the operation stages. So what is the packing and handling instructions which are to be used during the movement of parts? That is, when the parts are moving from one machine to another. So how do you move the parts? What is the packing, and what is the handling instructions we have to give, and for the parts and sub-assemblies through the operations. So from one process to another, when the materials are moving, how the worker has to shift the materials, how he has to handle the materials, all the specifications have to be mentioned here. Then next we have the scheduling. It involves fixing priorities for each job and determining the starting time and finishing time for each operation, the starting dates and finishing dates for each part, sub-assembly and final assembly. It lays down a timetable for production indicating the total time required for the manufacture of a product and also the time required for carrying out the operation on each machine or equipment. So, we have to specify each and every detail for the manufacture of each and every part of the product. So everything has to be neatly planned and then it has to be executed. What are the objectives of scheduling? To prevent unbalanced use of time among the work centers. So you fix a standard time to see that the product gets ready within the standard time, to utilize labor such that the output is produced within the established lead time or cycle time, to deliver the products at the minimum total cost. So we have to see that the products are delivered efficiently and effectively. The next aspect is loading. Facility loading means loading of facility of work center, deciding jobs to be assigned which work center or machine. So it is the process of converting operation schedule into practice. So we assign specific jobs to machines, men and work centers based on relative priorities and capacity utilization. So based on the priority, we just allocate the machines, we allocate the men, and we also allocate the machines to the various activities. So a machine loading chart, that is the Gantt chart, is prepared showing the planned utilization of men and machinery by allocating the jobs to the machines. So we have to prepare a Gantt chart where you will have the chart showing the machines and who will be operating. So for which machine, how many manpower you are using. So all this should be taken, and as per the priority sequencing. So what is the priority of the production and how you are sequencing it. So it ensures maximum possible utilization of productive facility and avoids bottlenecks in production. So bottlenecks in production means no stoppage in production, so that it moves very smoothly. So it is done to avoid either overloading or unloading the facilities, work centers, to ensure maximum utilization of resources. So this loading function is done to see that there is maximum utilization of the available resources. The next function is the dispatching function. It may be defined as setting production activities in motion through the release of orders and instructions in accordance with the time schedule and routing. So it also provides a means for comparing actual progress with planned production process, and it includes, so actually you will be setting the production action into motion only with the dispatching function. So it gives movement of raw materials from the stores, that is the first operation, and from one operation to the next till the operations are carried out. So process 1, process 2, process 3. The first one will be you introduce the raw materials in the process 1 from 1 to 3, and ultimately we get the actual output. Then collecting tools, jigs and fixtures from tool stores and issuing them to the department. So whatever tools which are necessary for manufacture, you collect them and see that they are available at the production site. Then issuing job orders, authorizing operations in accordance with the time indicated in the machine loading charts. Then issue of drawings, specifications, route cards, material requisition to the user department. So whatever we need for the production house, everything has to be done in detail. Obtaining the inspection schedules, issuing them to the inspection section. So inspection schedule means at what stage of the production you have to go and inspect the products. So that has to be decided and you have to issue them to the inspection section. Internal material handling and movement of materials to inspection area after completing the operation. So next will be moving the materials to the next operation center after inspection, movement of the completed parts to the holding stores. So once you send the materials to the inspection area, all the materials will be checked and inspected there, and then you have to again bring it to the production area. Then returning jigs and fixtures and tools to stores after use. The next we have the expediting or follow-up progress. So here, expediting or progressing ensures that the work is carried out as per plan and delivery schedules are met. Now, in this function, we ensure that the work is carried out as per the plan. It includes activities such as status reporting. That is, you will have to report to the supervisors about what is the status of production, attending to bottlenecks or holding ups in production. So, if there is any stoppage in production, they have to try to attend it as fast as possible and removing the same, controlling variations or deviations from the planned performance levels. So, whatever you have to have, any variations or deviations from the plan have to be controlled, following up and monitoring the progress of work through all stages of production. So, you have to monitor the work through all stages of production, coordinating with purchase, stores, tool room and maintenance, and modifying the production plans and replan. So, in order to ensure that the work is going on as per the plans, so we have to ensure that there is a smooth flow of work in the production house, and coordinating with the purchases, stores, tool room and maintenance. So purchase, we need to have a coordination with the purchase department in order to get the raw materials, then stores department, then tool room and maintenance, and modifying the production plans and replan if necessary. So all these are necessary for expediting the process of production. Then why do we have a need for expediting or the follow-up? So the first one is to avoid delay in the supply of materials. So we need to see that everything goes as per the plan. So precision has to be followed. Excessive absenteeism. So in order to avoid all this, we need to have expediting process. Then changes in design specification, changes in delivery schedules initiated by customers, breakdown of machines or tools, errors in design drawings and the process plans. So for all this, we need expediting process. Then what are the requirements for effective PPC? Sound organizational structure with mechanism for proper delegation of authority and fixing of responsibility at all levels. Now, delegation of authority is essential. It is nothing but transfer of authority from the superior to the subordinate. So, once you transfer the authority, you have to see that that person is responsible for any activity done under that authority. Then, information feedback system should provide reliable and up-to-date information for all persons who are carrying out the PPC function. So they have to closely monitor, they have to know what is going on in the production house. Standardization of materials, tools, equipments, workmanship, etc. So you have to ensure that there is standard tools, standard procedure, standard equipment, trained personnel for using special tools and manufacturing processes. Then flexibility to accommodate changes and bottlenecks. So, to curtail shortage of materials, power failures, breakdowns and absenteeism. So, in order to avoid all this, what is the backup plan you have? Appropriate management policies regarding production inventory level, product mix and inventory turnover. So, what are the various policies we have, whether they are favorable or not? Accurate assessment of the manufacturing lead times and procurement lead time. Plant capacity should be adequate to meet the demand. The plan should be flexible in order to respond to the introduction of new products, changes in product mix, and the production rate. So with this, we come to the end of this session. Hope you have all followed it. Thank you.